Fire Emblem Three Houses is a game that features a character that looks exactly like me. No, seriously, why does this guy look exactly like me? Well, I'm glad Nintendo's a fan of the channel, but why did you put me upside down on the box art? Jokes aside, after picking up and playing the latest entry to the Fire Emblem series, this is easily one of the best tactical RPGs we've seen in a while, and quite possibly one of the best JRPGs of the generation. Fire Emblem Three Houses allows you to choose between a male and female protagonist, but considering certain design aspects that I found appealing, I decided to go with her. From there, Three Houses will want you to choose between, well, three houses. There's the Blue Lions, the Black Eagles, which most of you chose because there's a girl, and the House of the Night Sky Prince, which of course is the correct answer. These houses represent the three rival nations of the land of Votland, connected through a monastery. You take the role of a former mercenary and new professor at the monastery, and have to choose a nation, that is a house, to support. And as a professor, you'll be responsible for a group of students that are eager to improve themselves, as well as actively recruiting new students into your class. It's been a while since I played a Fire Emblem game, and I was surprised to see just how refreshing Three Houses really is. The game is divided up into two types of gameplay, Persona and regular Fire Emblem. The Persona half being the regular daytime stuff, where you'll find yourself wandering around the monastery, establishing social links with comrades, instructing your students, completing non-combat related side quests, and of course, fishing, the official minigame of JRPGs. The other half of gameplay is of course battles. This tactical RPG, like most, involves strategically moving along a grid to best position your characters to attack based on their class. Veteran players, however, will notice that the weapon triangle, a sort of paper, scissors, rock mechanic where certain weapon types are more effective against others, is no longer part of the game, and honestly, it's not really something that I missed. Battles are still incredibly engaging, and you'll oftentimes find yourself devising the exact way to handle enemies with the minimum amount of units being lost. The game thankfully has an undo button, in which you can undo several turns, and it allows you to go back to see where you made a mistake and re-strategize from there, which allows for a lot of experimentation. Your units themselves are extremely flexible, each one being able to learn a different class than the one that they're naturally biased to, eventually even taking on different classes altogether. You have a large amount of options for each character, and can mold each of your students into the perfect soldier for combat, which honestly, it's the characters that make this game stand out so much. I could easily do a full video on just how much this game does to engage you with them. First of all, Three Houses has an absolutely massive cast, and yet the design of each character is somehow unique enough to make them all stand out from each other. I was also honestly blown away by, despite the fact that this game has such a massive cast, that almost all the English voice acting was incredibly solid for the vast majority of characters. And even the characters that you don't like at first, you find something to enjoy about them. Take, Lawrence for example, in this insanely awkward but funny scene. Wait, I recognize that voice.
Perhaps the issue is that the splendor of my noble presence is driving the ladies to distraction. If that is the crime, I do confess. I hope I've not troubled the ladies' hearts unduly.
There actually is no crime since that wallet was a gift, Constable.
Oh my god, is that Joseph Joestar? But there's several scenes, both mandatory and optional, where the player will truly fill in the role of the professor, establishing some sort of connection with each and every student. Everything from finding lost items and reading the description and trying to match it to the character that would have lost it, or giving them gifts to increase their motivation. The game is always giving you the opportunity to know more about the characters. And just like any real academic setting, sometimes students will come to you about their own personal problems, and this will give you the opportunity to become even more deeply involved with everyone in the cast. It feels like you're actively working to nurture these characters, which ultimately makes them feel like they're your children. While I'm still relatively early into the game though, the only issue I've honestly managed to find is that yes, even though it's a Nintendo Switch game, the Switch is honestly capable of producing some better graphics than this. There are some situations, whether it's on the battlefields or at the monastery, that the game will present you with very flat, lifeless textures, some of which just look straight out of a PlayStation 2 game. And you can notice the sometimes blurry textures on the character models. And I sometimes notice compression artifacts on the otherwise beautifully animated FMVs, which is most likely to happen when playing the game in docked mode on my TV. But even so, I find that to be a minor nitpick in the grand scheme of things. A mainline Fire Emblem game is on the big screen again, and also some incredibly fast load times. Nor can it overshadow the fact that this game has a lot of content in it. Each of these houses has a unique twist on the story, so you'll want to go back and play through each one of them, with an average playtime of around 50 hours each. There's also a fourth hidden path that you can take as well, so if you 100% at this game, it would basically take you a lifetime. With most of you on this channel being JRPG, and more specifically Final Fantasy fans, should you buy Fire Emblem Three Houses? If you're looking for well-written characters and engaging turn-based combat, that answer is an outstanding yes. So Ultima Weapons, have you already picked up the game? And if so, which house have you or will you be picking? That's mostly a rhetorical question. I know you'll be picking Golden Deer. Subscribe, click the bell icon, and let me know in the comments below. And if you've been enjoying my content, be sure to check out the Patreon for the Night Sky Prince, where awesome people like Zestros have been keeping this channel's foundation solid. I could not have done it without the incredible support of people like you. Shout out to Zestros and the rest of the Ultima community.